Hey everyone, it's Lisa from the blog farmhouseonboone.com, and today I'm going to show you how I took my spice cabinet with a big old basket full of unorganized spices, half a thing of cinnamon here, half a bag of it here, and finally organized it. Now this video today is part of the Minimal Mom's Clutter-Free January. She has asked several different YouTube creators to go through their homes and tackle different areas each week in January to motivate and inspire you to get a fresh start this January. So week one is kitchens. I will be participating throughout this month and taking you through different areas of my home and making it clutter-free and organized. It's definitely something that I need to do, and I'm hoping that we're able to inspire you to do the same. So there will be a link in the description for the playlist where you can watch all of the videos. So this week you can see what the Minimal Mom is doing in her kitchen to declutter, several other wonderful YouTube creators. You can get some great inspiration, so make sure to check out that playlist after you're done watching my video. So I shared with you in our last house a spice cabinet makeover about 2.5 years ago. Now since then we've moved. We've actually been in this house for almost 2 years. It'll be 2 years this month, and I never brought organization to my spice cabinet. I've been operating out of a wicker basket that has just been shoved up here. Now the reason that I never tackled it is one, just procrastination. We all do this with things like this. It's just easier just to go on with life and throw the spices in there and not organize them. And then two, I really liked the way the basket looked in here, and I wasn't sure how I could organize them in a way that made them really accessible without getting rid of my pretty wicker basket. But I've decided that it is more worth it to open my cabinet and see what I have to cook with, and I use more spices whenever they're organized if I organize them. So I did ditch the wicker basket. So I started this process by emptying all of my spices into the spice jars that I bought in that original video. Now when I originally made the first video, I used a Sharpie paint marker to label each of the spice jars. Some of them still were on, but most of them had been scratched off over the years. So I had to do a lot of smelling to determine what herbs I had. Like I said, I have neglected this for far too long. So this time I decided to make a little label sheet on Canva. It was a really easy thing. I basically just typed out each spice, figured out the right size that I wanted for the size of my jars. Now, I am offering this print to you, so if you do want to print off this sheet so you don't have to go into Canva and make it yourself, you can get that at bit.ly/spice labels. It's a really simple basic sheet. I realize it's nothing fancy, but it does fit perfectly on this size of spice jar, which I will also link. So to get this organized, I just started smelling and emptying and labeling, and I finally was able to figure out what went in each one of my jars. Now I get asked a lot whenever I do a project like this where I empty things into clear jars so you can see everything and it's really accessible in your pantry, what do you do with the leftover spices or items? So this time for this particular project, I buy my spices from Thrive Markets, so they're in those plastic resealable bags. I ended up putting all of the leftover bags, they lay really flat and nice, into a wicker basket above my stove. So that'll be a place that I will keep any extra. I did have 3 different containers of cinnamon, so I emptied as much as I could into one of these jars, and then I put all of the rest into my cinnamon bag and then put it in that wicker basket. The spices that I buy that come in these little bags are 2.24 ounces, and they actually, one bag fits perfectly into one of my spice jars that I have here. So it's really perfect. The only time I ran into having extra is when I already had several that I didn't even know I had, because I had some cinnamon in my baking jar, I had some above the stove, I had some in here. It was a total mess. And so I did have to do a little bit of combining, but for the most part, they fit great up here. Now, to make them display nicely and tiered, I just pulled from things I already had. That was my big goal with this project. I couldn't find a Sharpie laying around, so I had to make the labels. I couldn't find a paint pen again, so the labels, I was like, I could run down to town, but I really just want to get this done right now with what I have, which is a printer and some packing tape, so that worked perfectly. Now for the tiered thing, same thing. I didn't want to have to go run and buy the spice stairs. I've owned those before. I don't know what happened to it, probably something in the move. So I just wanted to use what I had. So I brought out 2 wooden antique boxes, and I played around with first stacking one up, then putting some just on the hut shelf. And then I found that I actually had one of these table things in the pantry, just stashed in there again from the move, something I haven't touched since. And I'm glad I didn't get rid of it because it worked out really perfectly. I ended up putting a table piece, and then below that I put one of the wooden boxes turned over so it made a little flat area. And then on top of it, behind it, I put one of the little wooden flat boxes. So I ended up being able to stack them up 4 deep where I can see everything, and I will always probably keep the spices I use less to the back a little bit, but I can see what I have. Everything's visible to me. I now know what I need to replace, what is low. I love storing food this way because I can keep an eye on my inventory and then also use the herbs that I want the most. Now, I do keep my favorite spices, so things that I use with every meal: garlic powder, onion powder, herbs de Provence, or Italian seasoning, salt, pepper, on the back of my stove. So those are gonna stay really accessible because I use them so often, and because honestly, I couldn't really fit 2 more in here. But I do like keeping the spices that I love using there on the stove, and then just occasional things that I'll switch out. So for example, a friend of mine recently got me this black truffle sea salt, and we've been using this like crazy lately. It's so good on popcorn. I just put that over there on the stove. And then I have this medicinal mushroom nutritive set from Lila Earth. This was sent to me by a friend on Instagram. It is so, so good. I will link it down below, but it has all kinds of different mushrooms: shiitake, reishi, chaga, lion's mane, so many, and a few other sea salt, garlic, onion. This is good. I've been using this on just whatever. And so I'm keeping that on the stove as well. And then maybe I'll swap things out seasonally. Maybe I'll put chili up there if we're making chili more often, or you know, whatever I'm using, I'll keep up there. All right, well that's it. I hope that it was satisfying and motivating for you to just use some things around your house to bring a little bit of order to your kitchen, your spice cabinet, getting rid of some of that bulk. I had 3 different cinnamons. I had a couple different cayenne peppers. Now it's all condensed down. I can see what I have. I feel a lot better. Next, I need to tackle my pantry. I'm not sure if I'm gonna make a video on it. I might just go in there and just start attacking it. Make sure to print off your own labels. You can just use black ink, white paper, and packing tape to make these waterproof labels. Stick with what you have. You can get that at bit.ly/spice labels. Also, go and check out all of the other organization videos for the Minimal Moms Clutter-Free January. And stay tuned because next week I will be talking about clothes, I believe. And so I have a video idea planned for that as well. If you are brand new and you're coming over from any of the other Clutter-Free January creators, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I'd love to share more from our little farmhouse. I make 2 videos every week on from scratch food, natural living, and a handmade home. I also share snippets around here of us making over a Victorian farmhouse and homestead, and I'd love to have you following along. So if you could hit that subscribe button, you can join me for 2 new videos every single week. Also, check out some more of my organization videos. I will leave links down in the description box. I have one where I organize my whole pantry with mason jars. This was in my last house. I need to do it again here. A spice cabinet organization with a whole cabinet makeover in my last house. I have a video on organizing your laundry room with free print labels for that as well. I will leave that video here and down in the description box below so you can check that out. Well, I hope you all had a very Merry Christmas and that you are enjoying a clean slate, getting your life back in order for January. Thank you so much for stopping by the farmhouse.